It is said that there is only one Michael Jackson. And in the global arena of entertainment, that is certainly true. Yet on a deeper, more profound level, there is another. Michael Jackson, our icon. Coming up, Michael in his own words.
Friendship is a thing I'm just beginning to learn about. I was raised on the stage, and that's where I'm comfortable. And everything else is like foreign to me. I'm just beginning to know and learn about people, friendship.
With never-before-seen interviews.
I feel thankful is how I feel.
Photos and stories.
Genius takes a lot of discipline, and that's something that Michael Jackson had. 8 to 10 hours of practice every Sunday.
Tell me about the Sunday ritual.
Well, every Sunday I fast. I don't eat anything. It's just something I decided to do for my body. And I dance every Sunday.
What music do you dance to when you do this?
Mine, or anything that's got a fast beat to it.
I think that Michael's true genius is that there's nobody else that had the combination of being able to sing and dance and entertain and understand the moment. Motown 25, for me, the first time we got to really see a moonwalk was as crazy as thinking about walking on the moon itself. Is the achievement as big? No. But was the moment as big? Probably bigger.
They said when Michael would rehearse, if you were off, he heard you. He'd walk around and walk over to the individual that messed up that he did not see, but he heard the mess up and heard exactly where in the room they were and knew exactly which move did not go in its right place and fixed it. That's a different type of genius.
His simplicity is what was genius about him in a complex structure. He would say to me, Bearden, when we're doing arrangements and cutting things and all that, they have to be able to hum it. I want people from 8 to 80 to be able to hum my melodies. And he says, well, you know, the thing about my music is even all of the rhythm has to be up loud too. My vocals are really rhythmic, and he says, I like to put my backgrounds up high too right there. But he says, but then there's musical elements that I use like vocals, so that dum 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 dum. He would go. He said that part is there, and then that's his cousin coming up right there. That's his cousin coming there. So he would go. Dum, dum, dum. Here's his cousin right there. Dum, 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 dum. And he would explain stuff to me like that all the time, and right away, the music would be there. And when I got it right for him, he would just dance. He would just look at me and just go. That was it. He would never go, see, I told you.
A lot of people, they're used to just seeing the outcome of work. They never see the side of the work you go through to produce the outcome.
I just see him getting dressed and then looking at himself in the mirror, and he said, you know what? Is there an opportunity here to do something different? That black cardigan that he wore for the iconic, Motown 25 moment, that came out of his mom's closet. On the stage, you didn't even think about it. It just was, wow, look at that magical cardigan.
And Mike, in his autobiography, out of a 5-star rating, Mike himself said that Motown was about a 4. He, imagine that, right? He did the moonwalk perfectly, and he did the 3 spins, and he wanted to freeze on his feet for 3 seconds, and only did 1 second because he didn't get a good grip. So go figure. Michael Jackson's human after all.
The history of Johnson Publishing Company and Michael Jackson and the whole family goes back probably, I'm thinking 35 years or more.
The last count that I have actually is 27 Jet covers, and then he had 15 ebony covers, which is an awful lot.
My father met Michael and the entire Jackson brood when they came to Chicago.
Right after the big records, I Want You Back, Love You Say, and there was a luncheon here for him hosted by the company founder, Mr. John S. Johnson. Michael, even at that age, he's probably about 12 years old, he was always a loner. We noticed that the brothers sat over there at the luncheon, and he wanted to sit by himself or with Mr. Johnson. When he first met Mr. Johnson, he was very impressed, with him. And as he got older, he wanted Mr. Johnson to be a mentor. He turned out to be one of his key financial advisors. And one thing that Mr. Johnson told him, he said, I wouldn't invest in restaurants or just land. You want something that's not going to change or not be temperamental. So you want something where you're owning the music rights to something, like a catalog. After Mr. Johnson gave him that advice, he bought the Beatles catalog for $47.5 million.
To the world, he was the inimitable king of pop, the greatest superstar the world had ever known. But long before he was the world's Michael, he was our Michael.
I think that in the beginning of the Jackson 5, black people owned him and them more so than other people. Somewhere along the way, Michael transcended ethnicity.
Make no mistake about it, Mike was a brother.
There's no way you can divorce how they came up and where they came from. As a matter of fact, he embraced it.
I think that a person that penned Liberian Girl, they could have chosen any woman to sing about. It's Liberian Girl.
No, I wrote that at my house in the game room. I guess I was playing some pinball or something. And the song just popped in my head. And I think I ran upstairs, put it on tape, and it became Liberian Girl.
Asking me what my favorite Michael Jackson song is almost asking me, like, what's my favorite breath I ever took?
Because some days I'm in the mood for young Michael Jackson. So I want to hear, I wanna be where you are, oh. And then I'm in the mood, as soon as Billie Jean comes on, you can't help but your thing to start thrusting, and you start doing it, and people looking at you like you're crazy, and you're like, I don't care.
And Can You Feel It was my absolute favorite song, and I played it so much that one day my mother came into my room and broke it over her knee because I would not stop playing it over and over.
It's a tie between Give It Up or Your Ways.
There's always a Dangerous record with Teddy Riley and all those guys.
I always love to hear him sing Can't Help It, the Stevie Wonder song that he wrote for him.
And I go and watch the Way You Make Me Feel video, and not just for Tatiana.
I love Dirty Diana. That's one of my favorites.
Why?
Because it's a life story of a groupie. It's something that I've experienced, and a lot of people who grow up on the road, like me. I don't remember not performing.
How do you feel about the song Bad? Now, I know that you didn't write the video, but you're telling me that it's based on another person.
This kid who went to school upstate in the country, whatever, who is from the ghetto, and he tried to make something of his life. And he would leave his old friends behind. And when he came back on spring break or whatever, Thanksgiving break, his friends became so envious, jealous of him that they killed him. But in the film, I Don't Die, of course. So it's a true story that we had taken from Time or Newsweek magazine.
Yeah.
And he is a black kid like me.
Michael's blackness and how he felt about Obama. He said, you know what I did, Bearden, when he won? I said, no, MJ, what'd you do? He said, I just cried. But not only was it a victory for black people, and it was, he said, but it was just a victory for the world. We need that energy in the world right now. We need to embrace the love. But he was always talking about love.
The us that I think he's talking about, and they don't care about us, wasn't the we of the We Are the World. I think he was specifically talking about us.
When you think of Afro, all right, you think of 5 of them, and you probably liked his better. His Afro, it went like. And if you think about it, he never really got rid of his Afro. He was just like, oh, word? The next transition is a Jerry curl? Let's go. And he went with that.
Michael Jackson's hairstylist was a black woman from Compton. he had that butter whipped by his sister. Don't even play, okay?
And the sisters were like, give me what Mike got. I want what Mike has. Give me that thing right there.
I had no idea that The Wiz as a movie was universally panned by critics. I could have sworn that was up there with Going with the Wind. For black people, The Wiz is up there with Going with the Wind and Citizen Kane.
I looked at MJ, I said, what you know about grits? He's like, come on now, Bearden, you know where we're from. I said, but what do you know about grits? Oh, you testing me? I said, yes. I said, well, what do you put on them? He says, no, if you put this on them, it's not good, but so I put this on them. And Blink is looking at us like, what are you guys talking about? We're having a passionate, like, serious black man conversation about grits.
To the average person, Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Kusa can just be a clever couplet to close a 6-minute dance song. But no, those are African chants. Sounds like someone's proud of me.
He never strayed away from the black community. I know a lot of people want to gravitate towards his appearance and try to psychoanalyze how he felt about himself and what he felt about himself and all that.
Him having a disease like vitiligo, for something like that to happen to our brightest star, on a bigger scale was a blessing to us, because what it showed us is that who we are as a people is bigger than the skin color.
To me, it was never about his appearance, it was all about his spirit, and his spirit never left us.
When you look in the mirror, are you happy with what you see?
In what way?
Just when you look there, in terms of that social philosophy.
I'm never totally satisfied. I always wish the world could be a better place. No, not at all. Hopefully, that's what I do with my music, bring happiness to people and to bring joy. Every song is different. Sometimes it happens quickly, sometimes it happens slowly. No one can quite say what the creative process is, because I have nothing to do with it almost, because it's created in space. It's God's work, not mine.
I know people that work with him, and laziness was not in his vocabulary. I've heard demos that sounded like the full-scale song. I've never heard a person make a full-scale demo of a song before they went to the studio to do it.
The fact that Billie Jean, that Michael's vocal was recorded in one take is pretty phenomenal. But I bet you that Michael wasn't the kind of person who wanted to go back and fix every word, which you could do. I think he wanted the integrity of the recording.
Rod Temperton speaks of Michael Jackson taking a day to memorize the lyrics of Rock With You and Off the Wall because he didn't want to have the paper in his hand while he was singing it. He's like, no, I want to memorize it because that way it's more believable.
You know, I've heard stories about Michael being in the studio laying on his back to get a certain sound, laying down on the floor.
On the album version of I Just Can't Stop Loving You.
I was in a bed when I was doing that.
Really?
Also, yeah. I was laying in the bed, cover and everything.
Not many people know the story behind Bad.
It's like a way of saying you're cool, you're all right, you're tough. I'm not saying I'm like criminally bad.
Quincy Jones managed to get Michael Jackson and Prince in the room at the same time to have dinner. Michael presented the scenario, which was two guys sort of vying for the position, like whose talent is better, that type of thing. And he, of course, Michael wrote the song.
It is quite different from anything I've ever recorded or I've ever written.
Prince read the first lyric, which was, of course, the immortal, "Your butt is mine." Prince says, who's singing this line? Because you ain't singing this to me, and I sure ain't gonna sing this line to you. And dinner was over.
I love the fans. I think it's very sweet. I feel thankful is how I feel. I really do. I don't take any of it for granted.
He went online and asked what the fans wanted to hear in the show, and he showed me a list from 1 to whatever the number was, of what they wanted, how many times they voted for it, and what came out number 1, and who liked it, male or female. I had never seen this before in my life with anybody that I've ever worked for. And then he showed me his handwritten notes of what he thought would be in the show, comparing it to the list. This is how much he loved the fans and how much he cared about it. And he would agonize over this constantly. He says, I got this, and I still don't have J5 or Off the Wall on here. What do I do? What do I do?
I was DJing, opening for Prince in Las Vegas, a tour we did. In and of itself, I was just like, this is crazy. Like, Michael is at a Prince concert. Like, I'm already blown away that I get to watch and participate in this concert, but now Michael is here, you know? And he was coming from backstage, and he's surrounded by his security, and people start noticing him and falling out and losing it, crying. Anybody else, I believe, would have just kept walking. That's the point of being surrounded by security. He stopped and he shook every single person's hand.
We were doing a Rock With You, and I had to make a big major cut in it. So I did the cut, and I said, how's that, MJ? How's that feel? He said, yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good. He says, it's gonna hurt the girls, though. It's gonna hurt the girls.
He wrote a song for, it was either Katrina relief or one of the other tragedies that had happened, and he had a bunch of us come to do another We Are the World kind of situation. And this was my first one-on-one. So I find myself on that day, I know I'm going and he's gonna be there. I'm like, well, what am I gonna wear? What am I gonna say? How am I gonna act? What am I gonna do? He's gonna be right there. I gotta make a good impression with him because, yeah, like it's a date. Like, I'm gonna date Michael Jackson. I'm like, come on, man, you're a grown man, get it together.
Michael really wanted to promote the 25th anniversary of Thriller. And what better way to promote it than with a media and with a media company that you felt comfortable and that had treated you fairly throughout your entire career?
We had a few places that we looked at, and we decided on the Brooklyn Museum of Art.
I go to the door, I open the door, and there's Michael Jackson. And he says, hi, I'm Michael Jackson. And we all start laughing because, oh, really? Yeah, that is Michael Jackson. We had this booming sound system.
You usually have a DJ on cover shoots or some kind of music going, so that's not unusual. What was unusual to me is they played almost all Michael Jackson songs.
And he goes on this huge platform and immediately starts doing freeze frames of his most famous dance moves.
I half expected him to bust into a move because he would just start. All of a sudden, I go, this is it. He's getting ready to move. But he wouldn't exactly do the whole thing, but he was enjoying it.
I walked over to speak to him to just check to see how he was doing. And he says to me, are you getting what you need? He wanted to make sure that Ebony was getting the shot that we wanted.
The night MJ passed, I think I was with him probably from around 5 p.m. to about 12:30 that night. Some of the band members mentioned to him, MJ looks different tonight. And I was like, what do you mean? He's just got a glow, he's got a swagger, he's got a vibe about him. And we finished one number and he looked back at me like, yeah, I can do this.
Folks were awestruck.
We had no warning.
He was so vibrant the night before, so triumphant.
People, when they talk, they didn't say like we lost Michael Jackson. It was like they would say I grew up with Michael.
It's like losing somebody that's been a part of your life. So, I'm really glad I was here for that. But yeah.
I think his legacy is one of matching.
His pebble was love. He put that pebble in the river and the ripples just went out like that. That's MJ's legacy.
I truly believe that when he passed, I think that a lot of his essence just jumped back into those recordings because they sound different now. I think that he said, Father, now I'm here to praise, but can a piece of me go and live in my music? And I think that he granted that.
That's life, to want to grow and become more. And like you plant a seed and it grows into something beautiful and it never dies, really. I think people should be that way.
On June 25th, the light that was Michael Jackson went out. Fans around the world mourned him. But there was a special fervor in the Black community. We had never seen anything like him, and we never will again.
The final thing I really believe that God chooses people to do certain things, and that it's their mission to do that thing. And I feel fortunate
in being that instrument through which music flows. Deep inside, I feel that this world is a monumental symphonic orchestra. I believe that in its primordial form, all of creation is sound, and that it's not just random sound.
That it's music. In the Gospels we read, "And the Lord God made man from the dust
of the earth and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and
man became a living soul. That breath of life to me is the music of my life, and it permeates every fiber of creation.
And my goal in life is to give to the world what I was lucky to receive, the ecstasy of divine union through my music and my dance. It's my purpose.
It's what I'm here for. Michael Joseph Jackson.